Hey guys, it is April 15th, 2025. I'm going to do a quick after action review in regard to my installation of my generator for my Airstar Mongoose. The advantage with gasser helicopters is they can fly for pretty long amounts of time. I had a Vario Benzin Acrobatic that actually had a couple of those, and those helicopters, I would hit my stopwatch before I took off, and I timed that helicopter at 35 and 36 minutes. You know, from the time that I pull started the engine, you know, I hit my stopwatch, and I could get 35-minute flight times, which is pretty amazing. But that's probably pushing the limit of your receiver battery. So with the Airstar Mongoose helicopters, even with my Whiplash helicopter, they have these generators. And I took out the generator from this helicopter, and I had a spare generator. I sent it to my friend Raja Borchkosh, and he replaced the voltage regulators. And I believe originally it was at 8.4 volts, which is kind of high. And this one plugs into the receiver. Now it's down to 7 volts. They come with these little lights, and as long as the generator is turning, the green light illuminates, and you just mount that on the back of the helicopter. So you want to work smarter, not harder. You don't want to have to split the frame on this helicopter. So the trick to do that is to, with your Zimmerman muffler, because as it is, there's just not enough room to get that generator in there. So the hack to do that is to remove the upper bolt on each side of your Zimmerman muffler and tilt your muffler back as far as you can. I pulled the fuel tank out so that I could reach in there for the belt, and I also had to loosen the 4 bolts here, you know, that pulls that tight for holding the tail boom on, and I loosened the bolt up here. It was a very tight fit. It was very challenging getting the generator in there. The key is you want your wiring to be facing back. This way, you know, you don't have it like this where you're having to try to route the wiring around there, because this can of this little electric motor of the generator does spin. So you wouldn't want the wires coming past that or up there by the spindle or the belt or anything. So on the first side, I put this bolt in first. It was very challenging. It's just very tight. Honestly, you'd probably be better off completely removing the muffler so that you could spread the frame just slightly. You don't have to spread it a lot, but I got a screwdriver, I worked it in there, and also when you get that in there, the belt's already over the main shaft from when I originally removed it. So with the fuel tank out, you know, I was able to reach my fingers in there, put the belt up there on the spindle up there, and then you have the generator kind of tilted like this. You're able to put the belt around the spindle on there, and then once the belt's on both spindles, you can angle the generator on the inside of there, and basically you want to turn the blades and look inside, make sure that the belt is spinning freely. As I'm doing that right now, I'm actually seeing the belt kind of go like that. So to finish this installation, I am probably going to want to loosen these bolts on both sides and get something and basically just pry the bracket back just a little bit to put a little bit more tension on that belt. You want your belt nice and snug. You don't want it loose. On the opposite side, I had trouble with the bolt on the opposite side of this one. So this bolt here, apparently when it was in there, it wasn't square. It was either up or down a little bit. So the bolt was hitting the side of here and not actually threading into the hole. So that took some finagling. I had to get a screwdriver, pry it around. I have my flashlight trying to look in there. Just being honest, it was a pretty challenging job. But once I got the other bolt in there, and of course, you want to make sure you always use Loctite on anytime you have a bolt and it's threading into, you know, you have the metal bolt going into, you know, metal threads, because with the gasser engines, even when they've been modified, there's still enough vibrations that it will cause your bolts to vibrate loose. And once I was done, it was just a matter of reinstalling the bolts. And I got like a little wrench that I used to hold the nut on the back of there. I was trying to thread that. I bought a kit to do threading. That didn't exactly work like I wanted it to. So just to make sure it's secure enough, I went ahead and put a lock nut on the opposite side of there. It's just pretty tricky. You have to have a very small wrench to get up in there. And I finally got that on, so my Zimmerman muffler is secure, you know, after the job is done. And then, you know, it's just a matter of tightening up the brackets on the Teflon right here. So these were down there, you have to pinch those, slide them up over the Teflon. This one was over here. Pinch it, you have to pinch it to get it to open. And then you put that over the Teflon, and you know, that's about it. So my install's pretty much done, with the exception of adjusting the tension on that belt, because I'm just seeing too much sideward movement on there, and you don't want that. So doing it this way is a lot easier than having to strip everything off of there and open up your whole entire frame. So again, the trick, take your two bolts out on the top of the Zimmerman muffler, tilt it back, pull your fuel tank out so you can reach in there and have a little bit of room to work, putting the belt up, you know, getting the generator in there. You may even want to take the muffler completely off so you can open the frame up wide enough to get this to slide in there, because it is a very tight fit. I even took a really high grain mesh sandpaper. It's not really sandpaper, it's a mesh screen. I tried to file that down a little bit so maybe it wasn't quite as wide. This looks like a little aluminum block that goes in there, and that's it. You know, this is the easiest way that I've found so far to replace your Zimmerman muffler. You know, putting your generator in there, and again, you might want to remove the Zimmerman muffler completely. My other Airstar Mongoose, there's threading It's a lot easier on that one because you don't have to put a nut on the back of there. And you know, once you have your muffler reinstalled, you know, you're back in business. And having a generator like this is nice insurance for, you know, you're basically flying off the generator. The generator is really what's providing your power, keeping your battery charged. And you know, you can have multiple flights. All you have to do is just refuel your Airstar Mongoose, and you're back in business. You can do another flight. Now, with my Whiplash, I only get about 14-15 minute flight times out of that one. And with my my other Airstar Mongoose, I believe I can get up to about 20-minute flights on a full tank of gas. So currently I'm not seeing any flight times anywhere near as long as my Vario Benzin Acrobatic. Now that may have been because it had a smaller engine that had the Zenoa G240 engine, whereas this engine here was a Zenoa G290. I sent to BH Hansen, and that was modified, so now it's a 300 max. So it has 29 cc's of power. You know, you just basically drop the 0 off the end. So the Zenoa G240